Once upon a time in an Arabian tribe, there lived a boy named Qays and a girl named Layla. They grew up together as childhood friends, and as they matured, their innocent friendship turned into a deep, passionate love for each other. But this was a time when Arabian traditions were very strict. Once a girl reached a certain age, she was kept away from boys and stayed among women at home, waiting for a proper marriage proposal. Sadly, it was time for Layla to be taken away from Qays, and although they both cried and wished to stay together, it couldn't be helped as it was the custom of their tribe. But as they parted ways, Qays promised to himself that he would never forget Layla and would love her forever. As the days turned into weeks, Qays found himself becoming more and more ill at ease. He missed Layla terribly and poured his heart out into writing heartfelt poetry, expressing his longing and love for her. He would then recite these poems to anyone who would listen, and his words would make them weep as they felt the depth of his sorrow. Soon, Qays' story became famous across the land, and people would travel from far and wide just to hear him recite his poetry. But this fame became his curse as it reached the ears of Layla's father. In their culture, it was a great shame for a girl if a man openly professed his love for her. And so Layla's father grew furious with Qays for causing his daughter's name to be taken in vain. He forbade any contact between Qays and Layla and kept his daughter in strict isolation, punishing Qays with rejection every time he tried to get close to her. The heartbreak was too much for Qays to bear. He stopped eating and drinking and spent all his time either writing poetry or wandering aimlessly, talking to the wind and clouds, asking them to take his pain away. Soon, he fell into a terrible illness and despair, and his family feared he might die. Seeing how much their son was suffering, Qays' family went to Layla as father and offered 50 red camels as dowry to marry their son and Layla. But Layla's father refused completely, thinking to himself, "How could I let my daughter marry a man who has been publicly shamelessly praising her?" Qays' condition worsened, and one day he left his home, wandered into the desert, and did not return for days. People found him there, reciting poems of sorrow and longing, and thus he earned the name Majnun Layla, the madman of Layla. Layla's father thought to himself, "Now that everyone knows my daughter's name because of this Majnun, I must do something to erase the shame." So he agreed to a man named Ward ibn Muhammad from the tribe of Thaqif, who had long been courting Layla. Although she had rejected him many times before, he was persistent and had even threatened her father that if he didn't agree to the marriage, he would take the matter to the tribal council. Layla's father was furious that his daughter had been threatened, but he knew he had to do something to protect her reputation. So he forced Layla to marry Ward, saying, "You are marrying Ward because he is a good and respected man in our tribe." But in truth, he had only done it to save face after being threatened. Layla knew the truth, though, and cried as she realized that she had no choice. She loved Qays and only wanted to be with him, but now it was too late. When Qays heard of Layla's marriage, his heart shattered. He wandered through the deserts, mountains, and valleys, reciting poems full of pain, love, and longing for Layla. He cried out to the mountains and valleys to take his pain away, but they were unmoved. He talked to birds, thinking they would understand his sorrow, and wrote poetry until his hand, which had once flowed with passion, became stiff and sore. Finally, overcome with grief, Qays collapsed among the rocks and was found lifeless. His heart had broken, and yet his lips were still whispering Layla's name. People came from far and wide to see the grave of the madman of Layla, and some would even go to the point of throwing dust on their own heads in sorrow. Layla's father, who had caused all this suffering, died soon after, realizing the error of his ways. The end. Don't forget to hit the like button, share this video with your friends and family, and subscribe for more updates. See you in the next video.